Hey guys, Constance here. Welcome back to Good Life Farm. So I'm bringing you into the kitchen this afternoon to make dinner, and tonight I am just making a really easy soup recipe. This is super healthy. It's really good for you, and it's one of those recipes that uses a very often underutilized vegetable, the parsnip. This is a creamy parsnip soup. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to peel a pound of parsnips. That could be a tongue twister if you're not careful. Next, I'm going to dice 1 cup of red onion. Now, if you don't have red onions, if you've only got your classic yellow onions, that'll work as well, but I do prefer to use the red onions for this recipe. So now in my soup pot here, I'm gonna start heating it up, and I'm gonna add in a tablespoon of either butter or ghee. And if you don't know what ghee is basically butter that has been clarified. It's clarified butter, which means the solids have been removed and it's just the natural healthy oils in the butter. So butter or ghee, either one will work. We're going to start melting. We're going to start melting this butter in the pot, and we're going to add in our onion, and we're going to let this begin to cook until it's just starting to get tender, and then we will add in some other ingredients. So while that is beginning to cook, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dice up my parsnips. The onion is getting nice and tender, so I'm going to go ahead and add in my diced up parsnips. And we're just going to let this cook for about 5 to 10 minutes, or until we've got like little bits of golden brown just beginning to show up on the parsnips. So now my parsnips are getting some golden brown spots here, getting just a little bit of color on them. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of turmeric, ground turmeric. And this is going to give this soup just a beautiful, rich gold color. And we're going to add in, now we're going to add in 2 cloves of minced garlic, which I'm just using my pre-minced organic garlic here. That would be about 2 teaspoons if you're doing it this way. mix these together. Let that cook for just a minute. So now I'm going to add in a half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. And then I'm going to add in 4 cups of either broth or stock. Now this recipe is super flexible. You could use beef broth, chicken broth, or vegetable broth or stock. Honestly, whichever one you've got the most of in your pantry, that's the one to grab. It's a very flexible kind of recipe. So we're going to use 4 cups, which would be a 32-ounce carton like this. Or if you've got some homemade, of course, in the pantry, you could use that. So now I'm going to turn up the heat, and I'm going to bring this mixture to a boil. And once it begins to boil, I'm going to reduce the heat and I'm going to let it simmer for about 20 minutes or until my parsnips are nice and tender. Alright, so now my parsnips are nice and tender. I just tested them by pulling out one of the biggest pieces that I could find, sticking them with a fork. The fork went in super easy, and so I knew they were ready. So now I'm going to stir in a tablespoon of some brown whole grain mustard. We'll just stir this in. And then I'm going to bring my pot over here to this side of my stove. Turn that off for a second. So now I'm just going to take my immersion blender here and I'm going to puree everything in here until it's just nice and super creamy. So let's move this out of the way. And you want to be really careful when you're doing this because your soup is really hot. Now I'm going to just bring that creaminess up another level, and I'm going to pour in 1 cup of heavy cream. Now you could also use half and half, or you could use some milk if you would like to. You could also use coconut milk even if you want to go that route. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pour this in. I'm going to turn my stove eye back on just enough to make sure that this is nice and heated through. Stir that all in. And that turmeric just gave this such a beautiful golden color. And that is it. So now I'm going to serve myself up a bowl. I'll sprinkle on a little parsley as a garnish. Fresh parsley would be best, but I'm fresh out. Wrong time of the year. Don't have any out in the garden either. But I do have some freeze-dried parsley, which of course will absorb some of the moisture from the soup right away. So I'm going to use that. So that is how you make my creamy parsnip soup if you would like to make this recipe. I have a printable version of it on my website, which I will link to down below. And so now I'm going to grab a spoon, enjoy my soup, and watch the rest of a beautiful sunset. So thanks for joining me here again in the Homestead Kitchen. My name is Constance at A Good Life Farm. Now talk to y'all next time.